but art teacher now. And of these modes of truth, hast thou not passed through knowledge of all misery, truth the first? Hast thou not conquered the Maris king at sea, the portal of assembling, truth the second? Hast thou not sin at the third gate destroyed, and truth the third attained? Hast not thou entered Tao, the path that leads to knowledge, the fourth truth? And now, rest neath the Bodhi tree, which is perfection of all knowledge. For, know, thou art the master of Samadhi, the state of faultless vision.
When I joined the party is when we started talking pragmatically about winning things, right? And then what drove me out, though, was these events that took place where their application of the non-aggression principle, which I still believe in. I don't believe that you should initiate force. I think that you have a right to retaliatory force. And their response to when Russia invaded Ukraine, I thought was weak and irresponsible and really anti-libertarian, because it's like, look, the country got invaded. You should be supporting the right to retaliatory force. They got that one wrong. And then when Hamas attacked Israel, they did the same thing. And then I said, you know what? This isn't about the non-aggression principle for some of them. They just hate the West. They hate the U.S. They hate Israel. They hate NATO. They just hate the West. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that was the problem for me.
There's these anarchists out there, and they enjoy just tearing it all down.
Yep, this is true. Very, very true.
They got nothing to replace it with either.
Correct. And they're proud of that. They're like, yes, tear it down and replace it with nothing. That's actually one of their slogans.
I just felt a rhythm with more time off of Clubhouse and going to the gym. I did anyway to the gym, but working, just kind of a healthier rhythm. And I wasn't, at 2 a.m. up yelling at somebody who I was disagreeing with. That wasn't changing their mind. I didn't miss that either.
I don't miss that part, but I do miss finding like these personalities that are just like, wow, I can't believe these people exist. It's like the type of thing that you can make documentaries about because people are so interesting. And if they hold these really strong viewpoints and they're so diametrically opposed and neither is willing to back down, my favorite moments in these rooms always has been is when you bring people together that disagree with each other, but it's going to escalate and it's going to heat up. It's just a matter of time. And so I'd see certain people come in the room and I'd be like, I'm inviting them up to the stage. And then you just start poking and prodding with topics to figure out which one's going to get them both in their feelings. And then you can just sit back and go, okay, my work is done here.
Let's jam. Yeah. If you're going to run a room, you want people talking and engaged, and it kind of makes your job easier. I understand that part.
I love that when I get in those rooms because, it gives me an excuse when y'all piss me off so much. I can go out and kill somebody in my own, local area that doesn't know anything about why they died, and I get away with it because, it's random.
Speaking of random, that was a random comment. Doc, how have you been? How's your mental health? Have you seen a therapist lately?
I'm actually a therapist.
Doc's never had bad mental health. Trust me.
Necker, what's been going on? You must have been bored out of your mind when I was gone. I was like, you'd only come in my rooms and fucking disagree with me. Didn't matter what I said. You'd always just come disagree. What the hell disagree with now?
I mean, I know you and I agree on capital punishment, I think.
You support capital punishment?
Oh, well, I think it's interesting. Last time I thought you said you were against capital punishment because.
Yeah, no, I'm totally against it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm against it too.
Okay. But you do support murdering babies.
But I like hurting innocent people because like ignorant people.
Well, hold on. Necro, do you support murdering babies?
No.
All right. So you're pro-life.
I mean, are we allowed to like get rid of like women that have abortions without their husband's approval?
No, man, wait a minute. Hold up. I don't support murdering babies, but I'm not pro-life.
All right, elaborate. Let's hear your opinion.
I'm saying nobody's talking about killing babies or murdering babies in cold blood.
There's plenty of
I
women
was just talking about getting rid of women that have abortions because they didn't give the men the option.
Yeah. They should have the right to choose.
Well, like Sharia law says you're allowed to cut their heads off under like the rule, right?
Nobody's
Like you're allowed to cut your wife's head off?
Abortions in the 8 or 9
Yeah,
months.
something like that. I remember that. I watched a dude cut a woman's head off once.
Again, nobody's talking about 8 or 9 month abortions. That's already way too developed. But again, first trimester, or
Why would you want to end the life? Why would you want to end the life in 3 months?
You're pussy. You want to act like you're fucking from another country, but like, I'm an American.
Can you let one person talk, please?
Pussy.
And also mute your mic in between.
David, get the cum out of your mouth. I didn't hear what you said.
What I've said is I Googled urologists and they treat prostates especially, so your knowledge is less than zero.
Why? Because you went up the urethra to get to the prostate at the vast difference?
No, because earlier you said urologists treat
you're going to
kidneys.
get a titty job from an ear, nose, throat guy.
You have
Nobody gives
no
a shit
memory
what
of
you're
your
thinking about.
6-year-old self that took so many drugs that killed your brain cells.
prostate is inside your asshole. Those are different things. Like, this is just basic anatomy.
I digress. We'll go back to abortion.
Yeah. Let's talk about murdering babies. Who's pro baby murder here?
Again, nobody in their right minds is pro murdering babies. Like, stop straw man. You're doing it on purpose.
Well, hold on. What is your justification for terminating the life of a baby that's been living inside of a woman for 3 months?
Well, let's hope it doesn't even get to 3 months. I mean, again.
Wow. You gotta kill them faster. Is that your plan?
Responsible fucking, what do they call it? Not parenting. Responsible fucking, damn, dude, what's the word? Women's, like, not ability just to choose, but health or whatever.
Are you looking for the term bodily autonomy?
No. Well, it includes some of that, but just in general, again.
Yeah, can I ask you a question? Hold on. Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. Hold on. I want you to answer this question. How many alcoholic beverages have you consumed this evening?
0, sir. 0, my friend.
Have you smoked pot?
A long time ago.
But today?
Very little.
What is it that's impairing your ability to communicate?
There's nothing impairing my ability. Am I saying something that
Okay, carry on.
I'm having trouble understanding?
Oh, yes. Yes, I am.
I could elaborate if you wish.
Okay, which language?
What part?
Why you're so eager to kill babies early?
Again, like no honest interlocutor speaks like this. Why are you so eager to kill babies?
Well, why are you? Hold on.
What the hell fire is he talking about? An interlocutor?
Wait.
Shooting a missile from
Wait, hold on, guys. Guys, hold on. Listen. No, hold on. Listen. No, you asked a good. No, hold on. You said you can't talk while I'm talking. This is not gonna work, guys. This is not gonna work.
Do it for fun.
So yeah, I now you just said it out loud. So here's the thing.
No, I'm shooting.
No. Hold on. You said that nobody supports third trimester abortion, which, by the way, some people do. But then you said,
Those
you
are
know, like,
really
hold on. Well, yeah, murdering
One person
a
talking.
baby that you looked at. I agree. But here's the thing. Then you said in the first 3 months it should be okay, and then I'm like, why is it okay to kill a baby in the first 3 months? And you said the sooner the better. And I'm just it's not a baby. Okay, it's like a
fetus.
little fetus.
Again, before it even becomes a fetus, still just a clunk of cells, a plastocyst, or whatever it's called. I mean, if the idea is to respect, a woman's right.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
And if she doesn't want to have a baby,
I see the problem is this.
get rid of it.
Hold on. Could you fucking hear me? Jesus Christ. Okay, all right. Maybe you just don't.
How do you mute people anymore?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, here's the question for you. I think that you don't appreciate the sanctity of life. And the fact that you use terms of phrase like, or whatever you call it, it's like, it's called a human fucking being. And so I think your dismissiveness on the miracle of life is the problem here. Like the only difference here between you and I is that the only difference between you and I here is that I have a very simple philosophy that thou shalt not kill, and you're like, well, why not?
Thou shalt not kill, exactly, because you take these things like you believe life begins at conception, right? Presumably.
When do you think it begins?
Definitely not at conception.
Wait, hold on. So what happens at conception? What would you do? No, I'm asking you, what do you think happens?
A woman gives birth. None of it is a mystery.
Well, I think it is a mystery to you because you're denying that it's alive. You're denying that it's alive.
Fertilizes the egg, so it creates the potential for life. I agree.
The potential for life. And so what you want to do? Wait, hold on. And what would then
is that equal to life?
What? Yes.
No.
It is alive. It's in a cuddly little blanket called a woman.
It is alive. It's not a life.
It's not a life.
How do you define alive?
Well, how about it has its own DNA? It has its own heartbeat. Is that not alive?
It doesn't have its own heartbeat when the egg first fertile. It doesn't have a heartbeat till how many weeks in?
Wait, hold on. So you don't believe that a sperm is alive? Well, you don't believe a sperm is alive?
Is that
I don't. I think you need.
Take a heartbeat.
You don't understand basic science. Is the problem that we're having here,
dude? I'm literally a scientist. Literally.
You're literally not a scientist.
Probably.
Let's do a trivia game then.
Mathematical physics.
Hey, dude, let's go. Let's play Trivial Pursuit, bitch.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. Listen. You were the same guy that said you were a software engineer 2 nights ago, and now you're a fucking scientist. Like,
No,
yeah.
not a software engineer. I'm a mathematician.
There you go. Now you're a mathematician.
And what makes you think you're the only published PhD on stage?
I said I probably am. I don't know.
Oh,
Again,
It's okay.
I mean, if, I'm talking to a bunch of pro-lifers. Pretty safe to assume. But
I'm still calling you out. Let's play Trivial Pursuit. Like, you want to, like, test like you're smarter than everybody else. Let's play.
no. It was about us. Because he was saying about something about.
Hey, Conley, you can probably Google up a good trivia question.
Science. I highly doubt
He
that.
can pick the mathematics like topic.
All the science again.
I'm pretty good at Newtonian calculus.
You mean Newtonian mechanics? Again, none of it is a mystery. So again, we know when the fetus, when it eventually evolves, how many weeks in it takes to evolve into a fetus to eventually get a heartbeat. I forgot exactly the details. I forgot it.
Well, then shut the fuck
It's
about
like
it.
7
You don't
weeks
know
or
about
something
them.
like that.
You don't know
I'm
about
saying
it.
it's
Shut the
something
fuck
like
up.
7 weeks.
You don't know. Dude, the first 9 week is called the critical period.
Number.
And the first 9 week is called the critical period. And there's a condition called the critical period.
Hey, it doesn't have
Because at that point you're homologous. And when you're homologous, it means homo, means same, like genius, like all cells are the same. You're not a boy or a girl, even though you have an XX or an XY. But after the 9 weeks, you move out of critical period, and then you move into where you start transcribing your 23rd pair of chromosomes. Nobody wants to hear you run your cocksucker, Sam. You don't know shit. You just run your mouth, and you got a bad haircut. And you need to shut the fuck up. You don't fucking cut.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Calling people a cunt isn't going to work.
I don't understand how
That's what I'm
anybody can
saying,
deny
there's-
that sperm is living because you
David, you're a fucking domestic terrorist.
How a baby forms. And again, nobody's talking about killing babies. First of all, babies again are already by definition alive, as in they've been born already.
Babies are born at conception.
Babies are not born at conception.
You want to make a bet?
Christian
I'll bet you
theists,
$1.
they claim that
I'll bet you $1. You prove your point, and I'll prove mine.
when the egg is
You prove your point, and I'll prove mine.
that somehow that creates.
Let's define what birth is. What do you define birth as, Doc?
Not exactly. They're taking
Birth
like
is
the active
conception.
sex when their mom.
So it's not when it becomes independent of the mother.
No, the conception is you bringing, like, you know, the reality into this universe by an oocyte and a gamete.
No. Okay, that's conception. Conception.
Yeah, like so, Doc. I mean,
That's bringing a life into this world.
Doc, when you told me that you were born
That's
in
birth to me.
1955, that means you really conceived that it wasn't when you became disconnected from your mother.
Exactly. A lot of people define life whether sometimes. Okay.
Dude, I define life at the end of a gun. Nobody gives a shit.
But some people can define life even earlier, so they say babies maybe up to, or fetuses like up to like 6 months or something, are theoretically, the technical word is viable.
Thou hast become the light.
If they
Thou
were
hast
removed
become the
from
sound.
womb,
Thou art
they
thy
would be
master
able
and
to
thy
be
God.
nurtured.
Thou art
and
thyself the
survive.
object of thy search. The voice unbroken that resounds throughout eternities, exempt from change, from sin exempt, the 7 sounds in one, the voice of the silence. Om Tat Sat. Fragment 2. The 2 paths. And now, O teacher of compassion, point thou the way to other men. Behold, all those who, knocking for admission, await in ignorance and darkness to see the gate of the sweet law flung open. the voice of the candidates. Shalt not thou, master of thine own mercy, reveal the doctrine of the heart? Shalt thou refuse to lead thy servants unto the path of liberation? Quoth the teacher, the paths are two, the great perfections three. 6 are the virtues that transform the body into the tree of knowledge. Who shall approach them? Who shall first enter them? Who shall first hear the doctrine of 2 paths in one, the truth unveiled about the secret heart, the law which, shunning learning, teaches wisdom, reveals a tale of woe? Alas, alas, that all men should possess Alaya, be one with the great soul, and that possessing it, Alaya should so little avail them. Behold, how like the moon reflected in the tranquil waves, Alaya is reflected by the small and by the great, is mirrored in the tiniest atoms, yet fails to reach the heart of all. Alas, that so few men should profit by the gift, the priceless boon of learning truth, the right perception of existing things, the knowledge of the non-existent. Saith the pupil, O teacher, what shall I do to reach wisdom? O wise one, what to gain perfection? Search for the paths, but, O Lanu, be of clean heart before thou startest on thy journey. Before thou takest thy first step, learn to discern the real from the false, the ever-fleeting from the everlasting. Learn above all to separate head learning from soul wisdom, the eye from the heart doctrine. Yea, ignorance is like unto a closed and airless vessel, the soul a bird shut up within. It warbles not, nor can it stir a feather, but the songster mute and torpid sits, and of exhaustion dies. But even ignorance is better than head learning, with no soul wisdom to illuminate and guide it. The seeds of wisdom cannot sprout and grow in airless space. To live and reap experience, the mind needs breadth and depth, and points to draw it towards the diamond soul. Seek not those points in Maya's realm, but soar beyond illusions. Search the eternal and the changeless Sat, mistrusting fancy's false suggestions. For mind is like a mirror, it gathers dust while it reflects. It needs the gentle breezes of soul wisdom to brush away the dust of our illusions. Seek, O beginner, to blend thy mind and soul. Shun ignorance and likewise shun illusion. Avert thy face from world deceptions. Mistrust thy senses. They are false. But within thy body, the shrine of thy sensations, seek in the impersonal for the eternal man, and having sought him out, look inward. Thou art Buddha. Shun praise, O devotee. Praise leads to self-delusion. Thy body is not self. Thy self is in itself without a body, and either praise or blame affects it not. Self-gratulation, O disciple, is like unto a lofty tower, up which a haughty fool has climbed. Thereon he sits in prideful solitude, and unperceived by any but himself. False learning is rejected by the wise, and scattered to the winds by the good law. Its wheel revolves for all, the humble and the proud. The doctrine of the eye is for the crowd, the doctrine of the heart for the elect. The first repeat in pride, behold, I know. The last, they who in humbleness have garnered, lo, confess, thus have I learned. Great Sifter is the name of the heart doctrine, O disciple. The wheel of the good law moves swiftly on. It grinds by night and day. The worthless husk it drives from out the golden grain, the refuse from the flour. The hand of karma guides the wheel. The revolutions mark the beatings of the karmic heart. True knowledge is the flour. False learning is the husk. If thou wouldest eat the bread of wisdom, thy flour thou hast to knead with Amrita's clear waters. But if thou kneadest husks with Maya's dew, thou canst create but food for the black doves of death, the birds of birth, decay, and sorrow. If thou art told that to become Arhan, thou hast to cease to love all beings, tell them they lie. If thou art told that to gain liberation, thou hast to hate thy mother and disregard thy son, to disavow thy father and call him householder, for man and beast all pity to renounce, Tell them their tongue is false. Thus teach the Tartikas, the unbelievers. If thou art taught that sin is born of action and bliss of absolute inaction, then tell them that they err. Non-permanence of human action, deliverance of mind from thraldom by the cessation of sin and faults are not for Deva egos. Thus saith the doctrine of the heart. The Dharma of the eye is the embodiment of the external and the non-existing. The Dharma of the heart is the embodiment of Bodhi, the permanent and everlasting. The lamp burns bright when wick and oil are clean. To make them clean, a cleaner is required. The flame feels not the process of the cleaning. The branches of a tree are shaken by the wind, the trunk remains unmoved. Both action and inaction may find room in thee. Thy body agitated, thy mind tranquil, thy soul as limpid as a mountain lake. Wouldst thou become a yogi of time's circle? Then, O Lanu, believe thou not that sitting in dark forests, in proud seclusion and apart from men, believe thou not that life on roots and plants, that thirst assuaged with snow from the great range, believe thou not, O devotee, that this will lead thee to the goal of final liberation.
And their response,
Think not that breaking bone, that rending flesh and muscle unites thee to thy silent self. Think not that when the sins of thy gross form are conquered, O victim of thy shadows, thy duty is accomplished by nature and by man. The blessed ones have scorned to do so. The Lion of the Law, the Lord of Mercy, perceiving the true cause of human voice, immediately forsook the sweet but selfish rest of the quiet wilds. From Aranyaka, he became the teacher of mankind. After Julay had entered the Nirvana, he preached on mount and plain, and he held discourses in the cities to devas, men, and gods. So kindly acts, and thou shalt reap their fruition. Inaction in a deed of mercy becomes an action in a deadly sin. Thus saith the sage. Shalt thou abstain from action? Not so shall gain thy soul her freedom. To reach Nirvana, one must reach self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is of loving deeds the child. Have patience, candidate, as one who fears no failure, courts no success. Fix thy soul's gaze upon the star, whose ray thou art, the flaming star that shines within the lightless depths of ever-being, the boundless fields of the unknown. Have perseverance as one who doth forevermore endure. Thy shadows live and vanish. That which in thee shall live forever. That which in thee knows. For it is knowledge, is not a fleeing life. It is the man that was, that is, and will be, for whom the hour shall never strike. If thou wouldest reap sweet peace and rest, disciple, sow with the seeds of merit the fields of future harvests, accept the woes of birth. To step out from sunlight into shade, to make more room for others, the tears that water the parched.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can it keep me warm when I'm cold?
Wait, no, I'm always hot.
Sleep Number.
Conceive it to be here. Opportunities to find deeper powers within ourselves come when life seems most challenging. A hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. I have found that you have only to take one step toward the gods, and they will then take 10 steps toward you. That step, the heroic first step of the journey, is out of or over the edge of your boundaries, and it often must be taken before you know that you will. Let the world be as it is, and learn to rock with the waves. You've got to say yes to this miracle of life as it is, not on condition that it follows your rules. When we talk about settling the world's problems, we're barking up the wrong tree. The world is perfect. It's a mess. It has always been a mess. We're not going to change it. Our job is to straighten out our own lives. We're in a free fall into the future. We don't know where we're going. Things are changing so fast, and always when you're going through a long tunnel, anxiety comes along. And all you have to do to transform your hell into a paradise is to turn your fall into a voluntary act. The first step to the knowledge of the wonder and mystery of life is the recognition of the monstrous nature of the earthly human realm, as well as its glory. The realization that this is just how it is, and that it cannot and will not be changed. Eternity is not the future or past. Eternity is a dimension of now. The goal of life is to make your heartbeat match the beat of the universe, to match your nature with nature. Whatever the hell happens, say, this is what I need. Life is like arriving late for a movie, having to figure out what was going on without bothering everybody with a lot of questions, and then being unexpectedly called away before you find out how it ends. Nothing can happen to you that is not positive. Even though it looks and feels at the moment like a negative crisis, it is not. The crisis throws you back, and when you are required to exhibit strength, it comes. The eternal principle, which never was born, never will die, it is in all things. It is in you now. You are the wave on the face of the ocean. When the wave is gone, is the water gone? Has anything happened? Nothing has happened. It is a play, a game, a dance. A goal is what specifically you intend to make happen. Dreams and goals should be just out of your present reach, but not out of sight. What if we choose not to do the things we are supposed to do? The principal gain is a sense of an authentic act and an authentic life. It may be a short one, but it is an authentic one, and that's a lot better than those short lives full of boredom. Dreams and goals are coming attractions in your life. Respect your curses, for they are the instruments of your destiny. People say that what we're all seeking is a meaning for life. I don't think that's what we're really seeking. I think what we're seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experiences on the purely physical plane will have resonance within our own innermost being and reality, so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive. Love is the burning point of life, and since all life is sorrowful, so is love. Perfection isn't human. Human beings are not perfect. The goal of life is rapture. Art is the way we experience it. When you go through life, it all seems accidental at the time it is happening. Life is without meaning. You bring the meaning to it. The meaning of life is whatever you ascribe it to be. Being alive is the meaning. Eternity isn't some later time. Eternity isn't a long time. Eternity has nothing to do with time. Eternity is that dimension of here and now, which thinking and time cuts out. This is it. And if you don't get it here, you won't get it anywhere. The purpose of the journey is compassion. When you have come past the pairs of opposites, you have reached compassion. making the inner meet the outer of today is, of course, the function of the artist. Every moment is utterly unique and will not be continued in eternity. This fact gives life its poignancy and should concentrate your attention on what you are experiencing now. That source of eternal energy is here, in you, now. The demon that you can swallow gives you its power, and the greater life's pain, the greater life's reply. This, I believe, is the great Western truth, that each of us is a completely unique creature, and that if we are ever to give any gift to the world, it will have to come out of our own experience and fulfillment of our own potentialities, not someone else's. The ego is as you think of yourself, you in relation to all the commitments of your life as you understand them. The self is the whole range of possibilities that you never even thought of, and you're stuck with your past when you're stuck with the ego. Because if all you know about yourself is what you found out about yourself, well, that already happened. The self is a whole field of potentialities to come through. Those who think they know how the universe could have been had they created it, without pain, without sorrow, without time, without death, are unfit for illumination. Revolution doesn't have to do with smashing something. It has to do with bringing something forth. If you spend all your time thinking about that which you are attacking, then you are negatively bound to it. You have to find the zeal in yourself and bring that out. All the gods, all the heavens, all the hells are within you. You become mature when you become the authority of your own life. Our demons are our own limitations, which shut us off from the realization of the ubiquity of the spirit. Each of these demons is conquered in a vision quest. There are something like 18 billion cells in the brain alone. There are no two brains alike. There are no two hands alike. There are no two human beings alike. You can take your instructions and your guidance from others, but you must find your own path. The achievement of the hero is one that he is ready for, and it's really a manifestation of his character. All men are capable of reason. That is the fundamental principle of democracy. Because everybody's mind is capable of true knowledge, you don't have to have a special authority or a special revelation telling you that this is the way things should be. Man should not be in the service of society. Society should be in the service of man. When man is in the service of society, you have a monster state, and that's what is threatening the world at this minute. Love your enemies, for they determine who you are. It's only when a man tames his own demons that he becomes the king of himself, if not of the world. When we quit thinking primarily about ourselves and our own self-preservation, we undergo a truly heroic transformation of consciousness. The creative act is not hanging on, but yielding to a new creative movement. Awe is what moves us forward. The dreamer and his dream are the same. The powers personified in a dream are those that move the world. Your sacred space is where you can find yourself again and again. Humanity has nothing to do with political theory. Political theory is in the interests of one group of humanity, or one ideal for humanity. But humanity, my heavens, that's what proper art renders. We have a paradox. Going into the deepest aspects of inner space connects you with something that is the most vital for the outer realm. Questing is not an ego trip. It is an adventure to bring into fulfillment your gift to the world, which is yourself. The goal is to live with godlike composure on the full rush of energy, like Dionysus riding the leopard without being torn to pieces. Seek to know the power that is within you. The quest for fire occurred not because anyone knew what the practical uses for fire would be, but because it was fascinating. You know, when real trouble comes, your humanity is awakened. The fundamental human experience is that of compassion. The way to find out about your happiness is to keep your mind on those moments when you feel most happy, when you really are happy, not excited, not just thrilled, but deeply happy. This requires a little bit of self-analysis. What is it that makes you happy? Stay with it, no matter what people tell you. This is what I call following your bliss. If you do follow your bliss, you put yourself on a kind of track that has been there all the while, waiting for you, and the life that you ought to be living is the one you are living. Follow your bliss and don't be afraid, and doors will open where you didn't know they were going to be. You must have a place to which you can go in your heart, your mind, or your house, almost every day, where you do not owe anyone and where no one owes you. A place that simply allows for the blossoming of something new and promising. Thinking in mythological terms helps to put you in accord with the inevitables of this vale of tears. You learn to recognize the positive values in what appear to be the negative moments and aspects of your life. The big question is whether you are going to be able to say a hearty yes to your adventure. It's a very interesting shift of perspective, and that's all it is. Joyful participation in the sorrows, and everything changes. When you follow your bliss, you begin to meet people who are in the field of your bliss, and they open the doors to you. When you find a writer who really is saying something to you, read everything that writer has written, and you will get more education and depth of understanding out of that than reading a scrap here and a scrap there and elsewhere. Then go to people who influenced that writer, or those who were related to him, and your world builds together in an organic way that is really marvelous. Change the focus of the eye. When you have done that, then the end of the world as you formerly knew it will have occurred, and you will experience the radiance of the divine presence everywhere, here and now. There is no security in following the call to adventure. Nothing is exciting if you know what the outcome is going to be. Follow your inner heart, and the world moves in and helps. A dream is your creative vision for your life in the future. There's something inside you that knows when you're in the center, that knows when you're on the beam or off the beam. And if you get off the beam to earn money, you've lost your life. And if you stay in the center and don't get any money, you still have your bliss. Following your bliss is not self-indulgent, but vital. Your whole physical system knows that this is the way to be alive in this world, and the way to give to the world the very best that you have to offer. Sacred space and sacred time, and something joyous to do is all we need. Almost anything then becomes a continuous and increasing joy. What you have to do, you do with play. best things cannot be told because they transcend thought. The second best are misunderstood because they are the thoughts that are supposed to refer to that which cannot be thought about. The third best are what we talk about. What evokes our love, and I mean love, not lust, is the imperfection of the human being. So, when the imperfection of the real person peeks through, say, "This is a challenge to my compassion," then make a try, and something might begin to get going. There's nothing you can do that's more important than being fulfilled. You become a sign. You become a signal, transparent to transcendence. In this way, you will find, live, and become a realization of your own personal myth. I always tell my students, go where your body and soul want to go. When you have the feeling, then stay with it, and don't let anyone throw you off. The best advice is to take it all as if it had been your intention. It is not society which is to guide and save the creative hero, but precisely the reverse. All societies are evil, sorrowful, inequitable, and so they will always be. So if you really want to help this world, what you will have to teach is how to live in it, and that no one can do who has not himself learned how to live in it, in the joyful sorrow and sorrowful joy of the knowledge of life as it is. The dark night of the soul comes just before revelation. Art is the clothing of a revelation. If you want the whole thing, the gods will give it to you, but you must be ready for it. Both the artist and the lover know that perfection is not lovable. It is the clumsiness of a fault that makes a person lovable. If you're going to have a story, have a big story, or none at all. If marriage isn't a first priority in your life, you're not married. At the darkest moment comes the light. I think of compassion as the fundamental religious experience, and unless that is there, you have nothing. You don't ask what a dance means. You enjoy it. You don't ask what the world means. You enjoy it. You don't ask what you mean. You enjoy it. How do you find the divine power in yourself? The word enthusiasm means filled with a God. So what makes you enthusiastic? Follow it. So I have a little word. Follow your bliss. The bliss is the message of God to yourself. That's where your life is. It is within you that the divine lives. No one in the world was ever you before, with your particular gifts, abilities, and possibilities. Read myths. They teach you that you can turn inward, and you begin to get the message of the symbols. Read other people's myths, not those of your own religion, because you tend to interpret your own religion in terms of facts. But if you read the other ones, you begin to get the message. When you are on your path, and it is truly your path, doors will open for you where there were no doors for someone else. Myth is much more important and true than history. History is just journalism, and you know how reliable that is. God is a metaphor for that which transcends all levels of intellectual thought. It's as simple as that. I think of mythology as the homeland of the muses, the inspirers of art, the inspirers of poetry. To see life as a poem and yourself participating in a poem is what the myth does for you. Religion is misunderstood mythology. We're so engaged in doing things to achieve purposes of outer value that we forget the inner value, the rapture that is associated with being alive, is what it is all about. God is within you. You yourself are your creator. If you find that place in yourself from which you brought this thing about, you will be able to live with it and affirm it, perhaps even enjoy it as your life. A ritual is the enactment of a myth, and by participating in the ritual, you are participating in the myth. And since myth is a projection of the depth of wisdom of the psyche, by participating in a ritual, participating in the myth, you are being, as it were, put in accord with that wisdom, which is the wisdom that is inherent within you anyhow. Your consciousness is being reminded of the wisdom of your own life. Where you stumble and fall, there you will find gold. Myth is the secret opening through which the inexhaustible energies of the cosmos pour into human manifestation. In meditating, meditate on your own divinity. The goal of life is to be a vehicle for something higher. The experience of eternity, right here and now, is the function of life. Heaven is not the place to have the experience. Here is the place to have the experience. When you look at that natural world, it becomes an icon. It becomes a holy picture that speaks of the origins of the world. Almost every mythology sees the origins of life coming out of water. And curiously, that's true. It's amusing that the origin of life out of water is in myths, and then again, finally, in science, we find the same thing. It's exactly so. The God you worship is the one you're capable of becoming. Gods suppressed become devils, and often it is these devils whom we first encounter when we turn inward. The garden is a metaphor for the following. Our minds and our thinking in terms of pairs of opposites, man and woman, good and evil, are as holy as that of a god. Mythological symbols touch and exhilarate centers of life beyond the reach of vocabularies of reason and coercion. When people get married because they think it's a long-time love affair, they'll be divorced very soon, because all love affairs end in disappointment. But marriage is a recognition of a spiritual identity. Could God exist if nobody else did? No. That's why gods are very avid for worshippers. If there is nobody to worship them, there are no gods. There are as many gods as there are people thinking about God. In choosing your God, you choose your way of looking at the universe. There are plenty of gods. Choose yours. The God you worship is the God you deserve. You enter the forest at the darkest point, where there is no path. Where there is a way or path, it is someone else's path. You are not on your own path. If you follow someone else's way, you are not going to realize your potential. Suddenly you're ripped into being alive, and life is pain, and life is suffering, and life is horror. But my God, you're alive, and it's spectacular. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Fear of the unknown is our greatest fear. Many of us would enter a tiger's lair before we would enter a dark cave. While caution is a useful instinct, we lose many opportunities and much of the adventure of life if we fail to support the curious explorer within us. People forget facts, but they remember stories. Art is the set of wings to carry you out of your own entanglement. The hero journey is inside of you. Tear off the veils and open the mystery of yourself. Find a place inside where there's joy, and the joy will burn out the pain. It is the function of art to carry us beyond speech to experience. The conquest of fear yields the courage of life. That is the cardinal initiation of every heroic adventure, fearlessness and achievement. Survival is the second law of life. The first is that we are all one. We are not on our journey to save the world, but to save ourselves. But in doing that, you save the world. The influence of a vital person vitalizes. When everything is lost and all seems darkness, then comes the new life and all that is needed. Vegetarians are people who cannot hear tomatoes screaming. Successful marriage is leading innovative lives together, being open, non-programmed. It's a free fall, how you handle each new thing as it comes along. As a drop of oil on the sea, you must float, using intellect and compassion to ride the waves. If you are to advance, all fixed ideas must go. The principal loss is security. Another is respect from the community, but you gain the respect of another community, the one that is worth having the respect of. The old skin has to be shed before the new one can come. If you want resurrection, you must have crucifixion. The hoarder, the one in us that wants to keep, to hold on, must be killed. The stronger the love, the more the pain. Love itself is pain, you might say, the pain of being truly alive. I don't think there is any such thing as an ordinary mortal. Everybody has his own possibility of rapture in the experience of life. All he has to do is recognize it and then cultivate it and get going with it. I always feel uncomfortable when people speak about ordinary mortals because I've never met an ordinary man, woman, or child. Not all who hesitate are lost. The psyche has many secrets in reserve, and these are not disclosed unless required. What's made up in the head is fiction. What comes out of the heart is a myth. Man actually needs the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. Once you know the difference between right and wrong, you have lots fewer decisions to make. Apocalypse does not point to a fiery Armageddon, but to the fact that our ignorance and our complacency are coming to an end. The psychotic drowns in the same waters in which the mystic swims with delight. When you translate the Bible with excessive literalism, you demythologize it. The possibility of a convincing reference to the individual's own spiritual experience is lost. Passion will move men beyond themselves, beyond their shortcomings, beyond their failures. Any disaster you can survive is an improvement in your character, your stature, and your life.
like who's the male sports figure that